5 is lead from the front in communication. Our communication must always be life-giving. Ephesians 4:29 says, don't use foul or abusive language. Let everything you say be good and helpful, so that your words will be an encouragement to those who hear them. So I've learned this the hard way many times, but just because I think of something does not mean I should say that something, right? I've also learned this. You can have a disagreement with someone, you can see something differently and still choose to walk in unity. And I think this is what's so amazing, because I feel like our leadership team does this on a regular basis. We have, maybe miscommunication, misunderstanding, or maybe we just have a disagreement over how something should happen. But we walk in unity. We honor. We'll talk about that in just a moment. Psalm 141 verse 3 says, put a watch over my mouth, O God. Another translation says, put a guard over my mouth. So we communicate, and many times our communication needs to be guarded when it comes to working closely with people. Realizing that what we say could have negative impact in their life or their leadership. We realize we communicate with our words, but we also communicate with body language. And so some of those things are important too. Number 6, we lead from the front, an invitation. Now, I believe our church has a tremendous culture of invitation. It's how we're seeing visitors every week. We have lots of people that love our church, that are inviting their friends and family, and those things are happening on a regular basis. But I want to challenge us, because many of us are in the arenas and areas that are providing ministry to other people. And what happens when you're focused on ministry and providing ministry to others, a lot of times you don't have a lot of friends or people that either what happens, a lot of your friends and people are here already. And so a lot of us aren't necessarily having lots of relationships outside of our church to invite people. But I want to encourage us, we should be inviting everyone that we possibly can to our church. Now, you guys know I've never been big about putting any pressure on anyone as far as our church goes. I really believe in just letting our church speak for itself. But what I know is that I think we can do better in this area, because I think a lot of us are like me. We're too nonchalant about letting people know that we would love for them to be here. And many of you are already doing a great job, and I'm not talking to you if you are, but I'm talking to some of us that have just been, more low-key about it. There was a time and season where, Amy and I had a lot of different friends that were not a part of our church, and I remember one person that ended up coming to our church after like a year. They said, we never knew you were a pastor, and I was like, good, that's exactly how I wanted it, because especially when I was yelling at the refs, I didn't want you to know I was a pastor when I was doing that. But here's the thing. We chose to be friends with people, not as pastors, but just as people. And I think that goes a long way. It values people. And so, we don't build relationships with people based on the leadership role that we have. We just try to be a friend to people. I think that's valuable. But I think that we certainly shouldn't expect people to invite more than we do. In other words, I want to challenge us, even over the course of this next season, and there's lots of things going on. I want us just to pray and ask God, who would you lead me to reach out to? And what could that look like for me to help them find a place that they belong? And so we can do that personally as well as do that together as a church, and I think we can and we should. We certainly, around here, it's very well, just very well known that everyone is welcome around here. We've set that stage, and I just believe people come when they feel loved. People return when they feel loved. We've had people tell us even recently, man, this is the friendliest church that I've ever come in contact with. And I feel like that's loud and clear, but I also think that there's lots of people in our community and all around this area that just still have no idea who our church is or who we are. And so and then I want to encourage us, but also others, don't stop with invitation. Be a bringer. And I don't know what this looks like for you, but sometimes, it's just a win if you can get your whole family to church, and nobody killed each other, right? But let's look at, how can we make it possible? There's been different times where we've crossed, people that say, hey, I just need a ride. And I've told people multiple times, let us know. We will make sure you have a ride. Like I'm very willing to whatever we've got to do to make sure that people can get here. And I know you have the same priorities, but let's just be aware. Our goal isn't just to serve and do what we do in leadership. Our goal is to reach people personally as well as a church, right? So we know God is good at changing people. We're certainly not, but when we get them connected to a life-giving, church like ours, they can see God change their lives. So